The final series of 2010, the St. Louis Cardinals are hosting the Colorado Rockies. Last night, the series began in good fashion. Chris Carpenter, an outstanding season. He would not be denied. He had a complete game victory here and stymied the Colorado Rockies bats, going all 9 innings, giving up just 1 run and capping off a great season for Carpenter. Welcome to the telecast. I'm Rick Horton alongside Al Raboski. And now as we look back at last night, Chris Carpenter was outstanding. And really, he's been that way ever since he's been a Cardinal.
That's so true. He has such a great winning percentage as a Cardinal. Matter of fact, since '04, he has the best winning percentage among starters in the big leagues. And Chris Carpenter stopped that 4-game losing streak, wins his 16th ball game, and now he can rest easy this winter and knowing he's a winner once again.
Carpenter was great. The Cardinals' offense was also very good. They did something they hadn't done much of, small ball. We'll take a look at that next. Very good, fundamentally sound baseball, Al.
Sometimes this season we've seen it clubbed that is station to station, but not last night. They had the running game in order, the hit and run, the straight steals. They were getting sacrifice flies. All the little aspects that help you scoring when you really don't have a team that has great speed.
Some of the things they had not done all year long, including a successful bunt from Carpenter and running the bases and taking chances on the bases.
But I know we both like to see it, and it's one way a manager can make an offense come alive.
We'll take a look at our starting pitcher, Jake Westbrook, when we come back.
goodness. Oh, what a play in center field. Oh, what a play by Ryan. Oh, my goodness. Brendan Ryan, an absolutely phenomenal play. Diving. Oh, what a play.
The throw to Molina, the collision. He is out at the plate.
Freese has to bare hand, throws to first. Got him. What a day for David Freese. 6 RBIs. John Jay, his first. Alan Craig, first home run. Matt Pagnozzi, his first in the major leagues. Big series for Daniel Descalso. Got him. Sliding catch by John Jay.
Leaves bare hands, and he's got it.
Swing and a miss. Got him. Strikeout for Carpenter. Strikeout for Jaime Garcia. Swing and a miss. His first career complete game shutout. And it'll be runners. That's got both. Got them both. Brad Penny. Deep left. Grand slam.
Way back toward the bullpen. It's a slam. A slam for Skip Schumacher.
Here's a long one, and the Cardinals are going to win it.
Stavinola, the 1-2 is swung on and hit deep to left field. To the wall. It's gone.
Here comes Wainwright. The Cardinals are winning. Arizona throws it around here in the ninth, and they throw away a win. Runner goes, great jump, and Molina still got it. How about that?
The throw by LaRue, and he is out.
Got it. Cardinals hold on for the win. Cardinals win it 6-4. Save to Franklin.
Albert with a long one to left. Here's another one. A shot into center field. Gone!
Carpenter cruising. The winning streak just keeps on rolling. How about 8 wins in a row? They'll test John Jay. Molina blocks the plate and out. Holiday rips it out to deep left. He made a pay.
I think Holiday's locked in. 4 for 4, 2 jacks. Up the middle. The Cardinals have come back to tie this game at 4. He can't get it. Jay scores, and the Cardinals have come from behind to win it.
Right away, Molina and Phillips. Bench is clear. Now Carpenter getting into it.
Well, Molina.
It's a sweep in Cincy.
This one is over. Garcia gets his first major league shutout.
10 pitches, 3 outs, Fair and Miles. Out at second. Double play. Fantastic play, Brendan Ryan.
Dump it in, dump throw to third. He got it! What a play by Brendan Ryan!
That one is absolutely crushed. Walls, oh goodness! Home run number 40 this season for Albert Pujols. There it is! 400 home runs in the career of Albert Pujols. I'm going to end on that.
Or Jake Westbrook.
You're absolutely right about that sinker baller. Since he's come to the Cardinals, 3.5 ground balls to every fly ball. And he has 17 quality starts, including 8 of 10 with the Cardinals.
Jake Westbrook, Jorge De La Rosa. That's your matchup. It's Cardinal baseball, and it's coming up next. The last series of 2010. Cardinals started off well here last night behind Chris Carpenter. Jake Westbrook, the sinker balling right-hander, will try to make it 2 in a row. And here's our first pitch to Dexter Fowler. Al, you mentioned the year he's had with the sinker ball. How does he get that done?
Well, he's got a tremendous sinker. He gets all those ground balls. He just needs a little more run support. And he should be well over, into double figures in wins. With a win here tonight, it'll be his 4th 10-win season and his first since 2006. Finally healthy, making 33 starts here this season. His career high was 34 back before he had the Tommy John surgery.
Nice to have a durable starting pitcher, as we saw last night, at Chris Carpenter making his 35th start and going all the way.
Sure, and the same thing you talk about Adam Wainwright, and then, Jaime Garcia was shut down the last few starts, but that was a club decision, not Jaime's, so that's very vital if you're going to have a good season. You need to have your big guys make every turn.
And a good start for Jake Westbrook. A sinker down and away takes care of Dexter Fowler. We'll take a look at the rest of the Rockies lineup. Jonathan Herrera hits second. Carlos Gonzalez leads the National League in hitting. Troy Tulowitzki has had an incredible September. Helton Mora, Spilborghs, Oliva, and a left-handed pitcher, Jorge De La Rosa, bats ninth for Jim Tracy in his second year at the helm of the Colorado Rockies, and he has done a great job, I think, everywhere he's been.
He really has. He's one of my favorites. 9th season with, overall managing. And he's been in L.A., Pittsburgh, now with the Rockies. Remember last season, he took over right here in St. Louis, and they went on quite a roll the second half, late second half, and looked like the same scenario earlier in September, and they just ran out of gas.
Been a very good second half club. Jim Tracy, think about the demeanor of Jim Tracy, pretty calm guy for the most part.
Yeah, really when he was with Los Angeles, a lot of people made the comparison to Walt Alston. who managed something like 25 straight one-year contracts with the Dodgers. And Ricky, you played with them, so you knew how well revered Walt Olson was in the Dodger organization.
Absolutely. And another strikeout for Westbrook. Great start. This one looking on the inside corner to Jonathan Herrera, the switch hitter. And Jake Westbrook eventually will need the Cardinal defense behind him. Holiday, Mather, and Alan Craig in the outfield. Mather getting that start in center. Feliz, Ryan Green, and Pujols on the infield. And Matt Pagnozzi will do the catching for Jake Westbrook. That's our Dobbs Cardinal defense.
Hopefully he will only need his catcher and his infielders. And with a sinker ball that he possesses, that's always a possibility.
That's what Satchel Paige would do, just have the outfielders sit down, right? Isn't that what he supposedly did in an old Negro League game? He was pitching to Josh Gibson and told the outfielders to just go ahead and sit down.
Oh, I did it all the time, but it was mostly in my dreams, though.
Right. A broken bat, ground ball, and mishandled by Tyler Green. Not sure he would be able to throw out Carlos Gonzalez.
For only the second error that Tyler Green has committed while playing second base. And there you see the bat coming at, took a little hop, comes up on him. And Gonzalez, who appears that he will win the National League batting race, doesn't get a hit. But boy, what a season he's had.
Only 3 hits shy of 200, which is one of those milestones, Al. I guess it's like hitting 40 home runs, maybe 50 home runs. You hit 200 hits in a season, and you've had quite a year.
Oh, he's hit just under 400 in September, Gonzalez. And of course, he's second to Albert in RBIs. This guy, you talk about a month of September. 15 of his 27 home runs, 40 of his 95 home runs were last month. I was writing checks all day putting down September 31st.
It's October, and a happy October to everybody. Cardinals would like to have had more games on their schedule in October.
Oh, yes. But they have a couple, and they might no reason why you don't want to close out as the Rockies.
Strong.
Boy, they just went into a tailspin a couple weeks ago, and they've stayed in it.
Slider on the inside corner to Tulowitzki. The Rockies have lost 11 of their last 12 games and find themselves 8 games out in the West. Obviously, their season's done. They've been a much better home team than a road team, just as the Cardinals have been.
And it was 2 weeks ago in L.A. that they had a lead late, and they blew that lead, lost it in extra innings. And Jim Tracy was telling me that he had a conversation with Tony La Russa and said it was the most excruciating loss of his big league career. And then he said something very interesting. He said, and then after that, how the team has responded, it's made that loss even more painful. They just couldn't recover.
There goes Gonzalez. He runs well, and no chance for Pagnozzi to throw out Carlos Gonzalez, his 26th stolen base of the season. What a complete player this Gonzalez is.
Well, he really is. Remember, he was acquired in the trade from Holiday from Colorado to Oakland. He's only a rookie and just making quite a statement. Doesn't look that big. And he just goes out there and goes about his business, and one of the budding stars of this league and another one at the plate. Not a rookie, but
not statistically, but he's still young. Jake Westbrook off to a great start. Cardinals set to take their first turn.
A few moments ago, the grounds crew putting the finishing touches on the field with their first base line machine, I guess is what we call that, Al. I don't know what we call that.
That's ridiculous. You don't know what they call that?
I don't.
Neither do I.
Cardinals batting order, Tyler Green, Joe Mather, Albert Pujols are 1, 2, 3. Then Holiday, Alan Craig again in right field. Pedro Feliz is the third baseman. Matt Pagnozzi getting a lot of action behind the plate. Then Brendan Ryan and Jake Westbrook round out the Cardinals order. All right-handers facing the left-hander, Jorge De La Rosa.
Well, he's been very tough on left-handers, and really when we first saw him at the big league level, the Cardinals really had their way with him, primarily with Milwaukee. But since he's become a Rocky, he's become a much better pitcher. Spent time on the disabled list this year and had that same finger injury, that sheath injury that Wainwright had a couple years ago on his breaking ball, his middle finger.
He missed some time with that. Yeah. Wainwright did, probably 6 weeks.
And the same thing happened to De La Rosa. He is 7-4 since, or in his last 11 starts.
And he faces Tyler Green, who leads it off for the Cardinals. Green at 228. De La Rosa, you mentioned how well he's pitched against the Cardinals of late. Also been a very good second half pitcher. Last year, 16-3 after the 1st of June.
Their team gets hot, but pitching part of that. And 13th career appearance, 7th career start against the Cardinals. Currently riding a 3-game winning streak versus St. Louis in his last 3 starts. It's all as a member of the Rockies.
Speaking of hot teams with hot pitching, the San Francisco Giants will host the Padres in San Francisco later tonight. Very few races up for grabs right now. Tampa Bay and the Yankees are tied in the National or American League East. And the Padres have an outside chance, but they're going to have to sweep San Francisco in San Francisco, and that staff has been tremendous.
Don't bet on it.
I'm not. De La Rosa has an interesting delivery, Al. He almost stops. He starts his motion. We see that in a lot of Asian pitchers that come over that will do that kind of pause at the top of their delivery and then continue forward.
He is from Mexico.
Take a look at the defense behind the left-hander De La Rosa. Dexter Fowler, a lot of speed in center field. Gonzalez, great athlete in right. Helton, fantastic fielding first baseman. And Miguel Olivo behind the plate with Jorge De La Rosa on the mound. That brings in Joe Mather, the Cardinals center fielder. And he's getting a chance to roam center field today.
He's a very good athlete. Really has been sidetracked last few years with multiple wrist surgeries, and hopefully he'll have a healthy off season and show you what he can do. But we saw a lot of small ball. Will we see it tonight? That was the theme last night.
And the Cardinals have the right runner at first base in Tyler Green. He only has 2 stolen bases at the big league level this year, but he's probably as fast as any Cardinal.
He had 31 last season to lead the minor leagues. It was about 15 this year at AAA, but they have a much better throwing catcher than Olivo, so that may shut down the running game a little bit.
Green was going in the wrong direction on that delivery home from De La Rosa as well. He still hasn't quite figured out the left-hander. Ball bounced to the left side. This could be a tough play. Mora does not get Mather, who also runs well. An infield hit for Joe Mather. Cardinals with a couple base runners here in the bottom of the first.
We got a team that's lost, 11 of the last 12 games. You jump out on top. You hope you put a little pressure on them. We'll talk more about Mora, the third baseman, but just kind of a swinging bunt. You see Joe Mather just took nothing for granted. He knew he had a chance to beat this out, and he does so.
You don't get a lot of opportunities. You have to take advantage of every one of them, run them out. Joe Mather, as tall as a player I think as the Cardinals have on the offensive side, runs very well. That brings in Albert Pujols, another monster year for him. 315, 42 home runs. Leads the National League in that department as well as RBIs. Chance to add to that here. Great jump by Green. And Albert may have a chance to add to his walk total now with first base open. Quick reaction by Tyler Green.
They take that secondary lead, and you saw no wasted motion. He saw the separation, the ball get away from the catcher, and he was off to third. Joe Mather has to be alert. He's got to watch with his peripheral vision, see if that lead runner takes off. And if he does so, then he can run. And a ball thrown on the infield. Tulowitzki, you see, picking the ball up. I don't know where that came from, but hopefully that's not something that...
Hope that didn't come from the stands.
All right.
A couple of Cardinal players looking up over their dugout. Want to know the count to Albert? They'll pitch to him. Albert expands his zone a bit. Fouls it off.
We may want to ask Jim Tracy about this tomorrow. Because Jim Tracy, I know, is a real fan of the game and a real fan of ball players. He's got his own ball player, Gonzalez, out in right field that is vying for the RBI championship. He's one behind Albert.
And Albert swings, pops it up, and his bat hits the catcher Olivo, who is down on the ground. And Albert's backswing nails Olivo.
Here the umpire, home plate umpire, is saying stay down there, and allow the training staff to help out.
Well, he went down in pain right away. Albert got jammed on that pitch. He had a long swing, popped it up.
But in my mind, how does Tyler Green not score when the shortstop makes the over-the-shoulder catch with his back to the infield? A little ringing in his ear, right?
Well, and you also realize there's nobody at home plate.
I didn't know that, but that even makes it even, more the reason. But I know the players are concerned.
Presumably, the pitcher would be covering home with Olivo down. Kind of a scary situation here. Just kind of glad he seems to be okay. Looks like he might have been trying to make a play at third, Al.
Right. He stood up too soon, anticipating that ball was going to get by Albert. That's your first mistake. And then he left himself exposed for the backswing, and apparently hit him pretty good in the head.
Well, we've seen over the past few years.
So watch the catcher reacting like he's trying to throw to third, and he gets pretty good contact. Got to receive the ball, but you see him right there. He hits it on the side of the mask, knocks it over, and got a pretty good shot on the head.
And Albert's backswing would not hit him had he not been directly behind Albert there, and so he did somewhat walk into that. But just thinking about some catchers over the last few years, you think about Mike Matheny and what he went through with his concussions, and also Jason LaRue, whose career is essentially done because of his concussions. And catching is a tough position.
There's usually one final blow, but like Jason LaRue sit there and he said he estimated that he's had 20 concussions during his professional career. And because you take a foul tip, it's almost like a whiplash. Some of the collisions that you go through, a runner coming down the line, but very few times it's like a bat like this.
Keith Duggar is the Colorado Rockies trainer, who is now working with Olivo, just testing him out, making sure he knows what day it is and knows that he's moving okay. And I can't imagine that he would stay in this game. I just can't imagine.
Well, they'll give you an indication he's not. And at this stage, expanded rosters is just common sense, just to extreme care and make sure everything is all right. Hopefully it's all precautionary, but
trying very hard just to be calm. You see him certainly moving fine now, but he's almost willing himself just to relax right here, and I'm sure the trainer's trying to get him to be relaxed. Albert's showing what happened with his swing to some of his teammates in the Cardinal dugout.
They check on, you see he moved the jaw. He has some neck movement, but it doesn't mean that he isn't hurt. And of course, if you put him on that backboard, they will totally immobilize the neck, put the brace on.
They're holding him very steady. And one thing about this game, there's always people who serve the ball club that we don't talk very much about, Al. People who are behind the scenes. We talk occasionally about the clubhouse guys and what they do for players, but the trainers are a very integral part of the day-to-day activities of a ball club, helping pitchers be ready, helping guys stretch, helping guys when injuries come about, and clearly a very important member of the Rockies organization right now is their trainer, Keith Duggar.
Right, and it looks like Dr. Palette's out there in civilian clothes, so he's offering assistance, but they'll mobilize him and obviously do the emergency attention that he requires.
And you see this out throughout baseball, the minor league level, and we've seen it many, many times, that the trainers will really become one. Both the visiting team's trainer and the home trainer, in this case Barry Weinberg's out there. It isn't really an issue of whose player it is. We are a medical staff here. In fact, there are times we've seen it where a player or a trainer has to take care of a particular player. He'll ask the other team's trainer to cover for him.
Yeah, but of course, when I played, you only had one trainer.
That's right.
But now you have multiple trainers, and Albert, all players are concerned.
They certainly appear to have him
and just
immobilized.
When you see Dr. Paletta there, who's the head of the Cardinals medical staff, you can see how he's deferring to the trainers, which is a pretty good indication how well they are trained.
This situation reminds me of the gentleman who was injured last year. I believe it was in Philadelphia, or was it in Pittsburgh? I know you were there at the game when Albert went and helped.
Pittsburgh.
It was in Pittsburgh when Albert went out and helped the fan who fell over the railing, and also was maybe dealing with some head and neck injuries, and he ended up being fine, although he had a big cut on his head. And Albert was out there kind of holding his head and immobilizing it until the trainers went out there. Brad Henderson told me a couple of months later that Albert was as professional as anybody. When he came upon the scene, Albert was saying all the right things and doing all the right things, and he just let him go.
He was responding, and also he had the Down syndrome son that Albert was, one corner of his eye was worrying about Dad, the other corner was keeping an eye on his son and making his son totally relaxed and understood that, hey, everything's going to be okay with your father.
And Albert revealing later the irony of it all. He had already planned on giving that man a baseball. He been alerted.
You came to see Albert, for his son.
They're still tending to the catcher, Miguel Olivo. We'll be back with more after this. on the backswing of Albert Pujols and has been immobilized by the training staff and Dr. Paletta with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he's now on a cart being taken off the field. And boy, that's just a scary sight to see here at the ballpark, and we just wish him the best, obviously. And again, the Cardinal fans showing their appreciation.
I saw him talking there to his trainer, and so there's movement. I saw his head and neck move and checking the jaw, and just gotta, you gotta pay very strict attention to rules, and I'm sure he'll be all right, but let's hope.
And we can only hope, Al, that they are just maybe erring on the side of precaution here and just being as careful as they can. Of course, very disconcerting for Albert Pujols, really anybody, all the players on this team, as Chris Iannetta takes over behind the plate for the Rockies, and that's just something as an athlete you just got to find a way, Al, I guess, to put behind you.
Absolutely. Whether it's the other day, and now Holiday will be intentionally walked. The other day when Hawksworth was hit, the Cardinals had to figure a way to play through that. Worried about your teammate, but you got a job to do.
Jim Tracy did not walk Albert Pujols, and you mentioned that that'd be a great question to ask him tomorrow about what kind of things were going through his mind as his right fielder is chasing Albert with the RBI championship on the line. But he does decide to walk Matt Holliday to bring in Alan Craig with the bases loaded.
Once again, I'm shocked that Tyler Green didn't come home on that pop-up. It was shallow left center, but Tulowitzki, the shortstop, went back and made the catch with his back to the infield. And Tyler Green runs well. You know what Albert's got a chance for that RBI title. You try and help him out.
Alan Craig with a chance of some RBIs here. The Cardinals have the bases loaded, one out, bottom of the first inning. Outfield is deep for Craig. Allen does have 4 home runs on the season and starting to show a little bit of that pop and line drive power in the gaps that we expected him to have when he was up earlier in the season.
He's making his 6th straight start. He was 0 for 3 last night, but still 17 for 19 since this most recent run.
And ground ball to deep short. Tulowitzki gets one, and that's all they can get. That'll be a fielder's choice and an RBI for Alan Craig, his 18th of the season. And the Cardinals lead 1-0.
How about Tulowitzki, the offensive player he is, and such a big man, but he also shows you that he's very, very good defensively. You go back to 07, he's made the 2nd fewest errors, by a shortstop. And you put up his offensive numbers, you really got to play.
Doesn't really have a shortstop body, does he?
No, he does not.
Pedro Feliz.
We always talked about Scott Rowland, 6'4", 240, being very athletic and capable of playing shortstop. Well, now you got a guy with that size body, if not a little bigger, that is a shortstop and a very good one.
He has that swagger too, doesn't he? He kind of walks around like a big leaguer, kind of has that little, I don't know what you want to say, but he's got some style.
When you hit 15 home runs and 40 RBIs in September,
I'd be confident.
And remember, he missed a significant part of the season with injury too.
Incredible the number of multi-home run games he's had in September too. I believe he's had 4 in 1 month.
And of course, he's obviously an outstanding fielder with a Rawlings glove.
I assume you used a Rawlings glove. I did.
I used the best. Tried not to use it, but
De La Rosa has been out there a long time this half inning with the injury to Olivo. Very difficult for him to concentrate. He's got to work on Feliz here. Hard hit ball to third will end it. Cardinals take the lead through one. Best is brought to you by Budweiser. With full flavor and a crisp, clean finish, it's what we do. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. By Steak and Shake, life needs flavor. And by Chevy's Expert Auto Service. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. Jake Westbrook begins his second inning of work. Struck out the side in the first. Carlos Gonzalez did reach on an error in the middle of that, but Westbrook has been very sharp.
It really has been. And when he first came over, one thing was surprising was the amount of strikeouts that he amassed. That first couple games, he really did strike out quite a few. But since then, we've seen not like this. That's four out of all 4 outs recorded have been strikeouts. He's faced 5 batters, 1 reached on an infield error. So he's just painting the black, inside, outside, both sides of the plate, and even sometimes he gets a little help from our home plate umpire.
He tied up Todd Helton there. And now he faces Melvin Moore, the third baseman for the Rockies. Moore has had a decent season.
And I don't know if Melvin Moore can play every day. But this guy may be, he's done such a good job with the Rockies. They would like to retain him. And he's getting up there in age a little bit. But here may be a pretty good insurance policy, on a David Freese.
That's not a bad idea. Actually, that's something that John Mozeliak has talked about, strengthening the Cardinals bench in 2011 with some veteran guys. And I think he's the kind of guy he's talking about.
Yeah, he's a good offensive player, and the hopes is that David recovers. And I saw David yesterday, and he's feeling great. Just tired of answering that. He's almost hiding out, so he doesn't have to answer those questions. But so instead of going out and getting an everyday player, if you have good reports, it gives you a pretty good bench guy, an offensive weapon, and a guy that could play sparingly at third and do a good job for you.
As the regular season comes to a close, the Cardinals would like to say a huge thank you to fans across Cardinals Nation for all your support in 2010. Over 3.3 million showed up and supported, cheered on the Redbirds at Busch Stadium, and millions more joined via radio and TV broadcast. Cardinals ownership, management, and players would like to give a tip of the cap to baseball's best fans. It's you that truly makes St. Louis baseball heaven.
Ricky, we've talked an awful lot about Westbrook, how coming over in the 3-part trade that lost Ludwig. The job he's done.
Not only has he done a good job, he always does it quickly. Quick top of the second. 1, 2, 3. Pagnazzi will lead it off when we come back. Jorge De La Rosa, the last 3 outings versus the Cardinals, 3-0. 20 strikeouts in 17 innings, but look at the run support.
If you can get it, so be it.
Makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, and of course the Rockies, they were beat last night by the Cardinals, but only the second win in 2 years Cardinals have against the Rockies, so they've had the Redbirds number.
That's our Toyota key to the game. Don't give up 11.42 runs. So far, so good.
Take a picture of Pagnazzi's batting average. I said that the other day, and it went up. If I would have said it.
So what are you implying? Take a picture because it's pretty high.
Well, when you had your career high minor league batting average this year at 242, and you're batting 367 in the big leagues. But as surprising as that is, look at the 7 RBIs.
Maybe this league is easier, Al. 0-1 to the Cardinal catcher Matt Pagnazzi, who hit a long home run against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He had 1 home run at Memphis this year, and he's got 1 in the big leagues. He's got 1/3 of his RBI total for the season here in his 6 games that he's played in since being recalled.
Give him credit for being ready.
That's right.
Tulowitzki takes care of Pagnazzi.
And hope he'll have many more, but September was pretty good for him, wasn't it?
367 batting average. He got his first career hit, RBI home run. Caught Adam Wainwright's 20th win, as well as Chris Carpenter's complete game here yesterday. His 16th victory of the season. And we talk about this all the time, but the value of a catcher is much more important what he does behind the plate than what he does with the bat.
Most definitely. Ability to catch and throw, and we know he's a much better thrower than what we've seen the last week. And part of that is, the jumps that runners get off the pitchers. But with all the needs the Cardinals have in this offseason, I think you can get by with Pagnazzi being your backup next year because you got too many other pressing needs.
We had seen some lazy play behind the plate over the last week. A lot of strikeout, wild pitches, ball not being blocked, some wild pitches that maybe the catcher should have gotten in front of, and we've seen that really across the board, and that happens in the month of September.
You're a little tired, you lose your concentration, Both these teams are out of the playoff hunt, so it's all those things factored in. But if you're a young guy like Pagnazzi or some of the other young players getting a chance, that should not happen, because you should be on your toes every second you're out there on display.
Ball 4 to Brendan Ryan. And that'll bring in the Cardinal pitcher, Jake Westbrook, who will be bunting here.
We're starting to talk about Westbrook, where, many times we've never considered him to be part of next year. And a week ago, I had a little talk with John Mozeliak, the Cardinal general manager. He's coming off he's making $11 million this year. He's coming off a 3-year contract. And it's the Cardinals' belief. Look at that jump. You talk about stealing off the pitcher. And, of course, Iannetta is not the same thrower as Olivo. So the Cardinals want to steal, but that was a definite steal off of De La Rosa. Brendan Ryan just picked him clean for his 11th steal of the year.
I like what the Cardinals are doing on the base pass. And do you bunt with the pitcher here, or do you give him a chance to swing the bat?
Well, he's not much of a hitter. Remember in the American League, not really doing it. So why not get the bunt down and put him over third base?
I like him swinging just in case he runs into one. Well,
he did.
He just ran into one, hit it the other way, testing the arm of Gonzalez. No. Brendan Ryan scores his second Cardinal run on a base hit by Jake Westbrook.
First RBI of this season and the second of his career.
I can't say the chances were high, but that's exactly what he does. Just runs into a pitch, Al.
Well, good for him, and he helps his own cause. Brendan Ryan comes racing home. You look at home plate. That's where you're going.
He got there.
I know, but when you're not looking at the plate, you're looking out to what's happening in the field. It slows you down.
And the stolen base by Brendan Ryan, a big part of him scoring that run. Westbrook, the runner at first, line drive to center field off the bat of Tyler Green. But that's right at the center fielder, Dexter Fowler. And it's time for our U.S. Cellular text poll. Who would you like to see return to the Cardinals next season? We have 4 choices for you. Aaron Miles, Brad Penny, Jeff Suppan, or Jake Westbrook. Text return and then A, B, C, or D to 432-432, and we'll let you know by the end of the telecast who your choice is. Who would you like to have back? And if you want both of them back, or 2 or 3 or 4 of them back, text us 2 or 3 or 4 times.
I don't know if it works that way, but
why not? There's no maximum.
We'll just say whatever we say, and they'll figure out the rules down there. But
yeah, I'm okay with it.
I was saying that Westbrook is making $11 million a year, but it's the Cardinals' belief that maybe it'll come down to earth, come back to earth, and if it's a
reasonable number.
If it's a reasonable number, if it's sort of like the Brad Penny contract or something, he's 32 years of age, sinker ball pitcher. Dave Duncan would wholeheartedly endorse that, so will all of his teammates. But it's kind of my belief that from what we have seen of him and his ability to throw sinkers, there's going to be other clubs who are going to go out there and say, this guy's too valuable, we'll overpay.
Well, it's a valuable position, clearly, and other teams may look at him as more than just a 4th starter. They may look at him as a 2nd starter. Mather hits his ball hard, but it's up in the air in right center field, and Fowler has great range. And that takes care of the Cardinals here in the 2nd inning. Tack on another 2-0 through 2. Twitter for updates on the Cardinals, the Rams, the Blues, and much more. FoxSportsMidwest.com. Al is tweeting as we speak. He's on Facebook, on email, he's texting. You can do it all, Al. More importantly, what do you think about Jake Westbrook so far?
I like what I've seen. I've liked everything I've ever seen of him.
And to your point earlier, just hope this isn't the last time we see Jake Westbrook.
Exactly. I mean, he's a guy that's fit in very well in this clubhouse. I think he, obviously, and everyone trying to make a big deal with, oh yeah, I'd love to come back here. Well, he's also a smart potential free agent. Why eliminate a ball club?
Somebody makes him an offer he can't refuse, he probably won't refuse it.
Sure, but I think if something was in line with the Cardinals' offer, I think after playing here, seeing the caliber of teammates, the city, the fans, I think he, has left a very favorable impression. If things were all equal, or even if the offer was a little higher on the other side, then you come back here anyway, because this is a great experience for you.
Classic problem of a free agent, isn't it? Really has always been the case. Just to pick on a couple of teams, what if the Baltimore Orioles or the Pittsburgh Pirates offer him the moon and say, we want you to be our number 2 starter, and we're going to pay you all kinds of money to pitch at that level? Cardinals, though, already have Wainwright, Garcia, Carpenter, but a better chance to win. So what
Sure.
decision does he make?
Now, quite possibly, we don't know, the guys take better care of themselves now and they pitch longer. But, he is 32. But if you got possibly being on a club here where you have a chance to win, which is going to pad your resume, maybe get another contract afterwards.
Westbrook facing Jorge De La Rosa, bats from the left side. Rockies with 2 switch hitters and 3 left-handed batters in the lineup tonight for Jim Tracy. It's a very talented hitting club who has really seen a kind of a downturn in the last 2 weeks. You look at the Rockies statistics, there's a lot of 2 for 17s and 3 for 20s, and it's a team that just has not gotten it done of late, but Jim Tracy does have a very, very good lineup. And a swing and a miss is strikeout number 5 for Jake Westbrook. If not careful, he may get up to his career high.
I believe it's 9. I think it's 9. He equaled it in his second start with the Cardinals. And, I think he had 16 strikeouts in his first 2 starts. But he already had 8 quality starts with the Cardinals. In his first 9 starts, if he would have gotten 4 runs of support, he would have been 8-0 with 1 no decision. And yet he only had 1 win in those first 9. He has won 2 of his last 3.
Working quickly again, just missing the outside corner.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. All those infielders love being behind him as he works so quickly. They're on their toes, they're ready. It's just the outfielders that get a little bored.
Every once in a while, it's good to be a bored outfielder.
Well, it is, but you do have to remember, be ready. There's a lot of infielders a little bored. There's only been 2 ground balls and 2 fly balls tonight.
And he's been ahead of almost everybody. 2-2 the count now to Dexter Fowler. Good young player. Has speed, good range defensively, switch hitter. Really just as good from the left side as the right side. Not much difference there, which is something you look for in a switch hitter. If you can handle him one way or the other, you can pitch to him.
It is Major League leading 14th triple last night. There's a strikeout, gets away from Bags.
And a fortunate bounce off the backstop all the way to Pagnazzi. Strike him out, throw him out. third inning. Budweiser, it's what we do. And a good start for the Cardinals here. It is the bottom of the third inning. The Cardinals lead 2-0. And Jake Westbrook has been outstanding. Jorge De La Rosa has been great of late, but running the first, running the second, and he now faces Mather, Pujols, and Holiday here in the third. Albert Pujols leads it off for the Cardinals. De La Rosa has to be careful with him. We are joined here in the booth by Justin Bernhardt, who represents the Special Olympics. Good to have you up here with us.
Thanks.
One to Albert. And you have a big event coming up soon, Justin. Tell us all about that.
What event?
Special Olympics event. You a part of that?
Mm-hmm.
You like that? Has that been a fun thing for you?
Mm-hmm.
Special Olympics been a very important part of the landscape of athletics in the state of Missouri. There's a fly ball to right field. And Justin, you've had a chance to participate for the last 6 years in these games.
Yes.
What are some things that you've liked about doing that?
I met a lot of friends that I can consider that they're my family, and I look out for them.
Oh, isn't that great? That's great to hear. You go to Hazelwood Northwest Middle School?
Mm-hmm.
What are your favorite sports?
Basketball and baseball.
And your basketball team has done pretty well in the Special Olympics, have they not?
Yep.
What's your favorite thing about basketball?
That it's competitive, and I just love the sport of the game.
That's great. Well, it's great that you compete. Of course, there's a great following of Special Olympics, and President and CEO of Special Olympics Missouri is here as well tonight, Mark Musso, and we appreciate getting a chance to visit with Justin Bernhardt, who's been involved with the Special Olympics for about 6 years now. And he mentioned that he loves basketball. How about baseball? You like baseball? It's a pretty good view here, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, it is.
Who's your favorite Cardinal?
Albert Pujols.
Ah, good choice. He just made an out, while we were talking.
Yeah.
You were kind of watching that, weren't you?
Uh-huh.
Matt Holliday 0-2. He will be followed by Alan Craig. Well, as you participate, you mentioned you get a lot of friends. I assume you appreciate all your family's support as well, because they love to watch you play, don't they?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I understand even your sister has been a part of rooting for you and cheering for you.
Yeah, she has.
And the base hit to left field for Holiday. And that brings in Alan Craig. Well, Justin, we really appreciate you coming up here to visit, and we know that the Special Olympics games are coming up, and we're just glad that you're a part of it, glad that you've had success doing it, and keep playing, and we'll keep rooting for you. How's that?
All right, thanks.
All right, that's Justin Bernhardt. We appreciate him coming up and sharing a half inning with us. And following that base hit by Holiday, Alan Craig steps in against De La Rosa. He's given up 3 Cardinal hits. Rockies yet to get their first hit of this game. Craig bounced out into a fielder's choice in the first and got an RBI in the process. There's the move of De La Rosa, respecting Matt Holliday, who does have 9 stolen bases, and we'll see if the Cardinals again will go to the small ball and the hit and run. they've been using quite a bit over the last week. De La Rosa, in 12 of his last 13 starts, has given up 3 runs or less in each one of those starts. Talked about him being a very good second half pitcher. And he's already given up 2 Cardinal runs here and pitching in the 3rd inning. Cardinals will get a look at Ubaldo Jimenez tomorrow. It'll be Jimenez and Kyle Loesch in game 3 of this 4-game series. Esmiel Rogers and Jeff Suppan will pitch the final game of the 2010 season. Cardinals have had their ups and downs during the season for sure, but they're looking to finish on a positive note. They won the series in Chicago, also the series against the Pirates here at home, and have a 1-game lead against the Rockies here in the final series. Very short lead for Holiday, and there's a strike right down central. And we also have Bob Tewksbury in the house, and we expect to be able to visit with Bob before this game is over. And for Cardinal fans, you remember how good a pitcher he was. He's actually working with the Red Sox now as a team psychologist. Line drive to left field, and play is made by Spilborghs on the warning track, and that'll chase Matt Holliday back to first base. Alan Craig likes to hit the ball the other way, but he can pull it every once in a while too. This pitch up and in, and you wonder, can he handle that pitch or not? He handles it pretty well there. And we mentioned that Tewksbury has done some counseling work and some psychology work for the Boston Red Sox, and I believe he has Al Roboski back on a couch right now. Wonder what that conversation's all about. Pedro Feliz hits with 2 outs. Holiday aboard. In case you missed it earlier, Miguel Olivo was hit in the back of the head by a swing, a backswing of Albert Pujols while he was flying out to shallow left center field. In fact, the shortstop made the play, and on the backswing, Olivo was hit in the back of the head and went down for several minutes. And Chris Iannetta has taken over behind the plate, and here's that play one more time. And the backswing, Olivo was trying to come up to throw to third. Albert didn't even know what he did. And Iannetta has replaced Olivo, and we're waiting on further word on the condition of Miguel Olivo, and we certainly hope that it's nothing serious. He was taken off after being stabilized by both the Cardinals and Rockies trainers, and Dr. Paletta, doctor for the Cardinals, was down on the field in a hurry to help out, and we hope that he's all right. There's a line drive to right field, and that is right at Gonzalez. That takes care of the Cardinals in the 3rd. We go to the 4th. It's 2-0 St. Louis. 2-0 Cardinals. Jake Westbrook has been outstanding, and we finally pried Bob Tewksbury away from his counseling session with Al Roboski. Is there any hope for him, Bob?
I have to go back in about 2 minutes. I'm really worried about him.
I'm sure you have some professional decorum. You can't tell us everything.
That's true. There's confidentiality in here.
Okay. It's great to see you. Great
Good
to have you back
man.
in St. Louis.
It's wonderful.
What brings you here?
The Busch Bash. Joe asked me to come back and sign some autographs, and I've done that, and I've run into CJ and the Don Thompson and people that have been at the ballpark forever, and it's great. It's like coming back home again. It's been wonderful.
There's a bloop hit to center field for Jonathan Herrera. That's the first hit of the night for the Rockies, and it's always good to have you back. And I know Cardinal fans remember the great years you had here, and of course you had a number of big league seasons in other places, but we love your years here in St. Louis.
This was the best. This was the best. It was the most fun I had playing. Unfortunately, we couldn't put together any wins in the years that you and I were together, but it's there's something special about Cardinal baseball, and as far as a baseball player goes, I'll always be, it's the place that I'll always be. I have a second skin now, second career, and that's been rewarding and fun, and the Red Sox have given me an opportunity to pursue that, so that's been nice.
And it's not just counseling. Obviously, you have the baseball background. You bring a little bit of the sports psychology to what you do.
Well, it's a combination of both. Yeah, it's sports, it's performance, how to deal with failure, expectations, injury, but it's also some off-the-field stuff, girlfriend issues, people asking for money, all the things that you go through that you don't really know who to talk to about. And
it's nice to have an advocate.
Yeah, it's and I can say, hey, I've been through everything that you've been through. I've been through, and they ask me to tell them, and I tell them, and they go, okay, and there's a trust that's built.
Perfect guy for that. 0-2 to Gonzalez, and Westbrook just carves up one of the best hitters in all of baseball, Carlos Gonzalez, and that is strikeout number 7 for Jake Westbrook. Well, Cardinals have had a disappointing season, and you say you deal with athletes who deal with disappointment. You get the whole Cardinals on the couch. What do you tell them? Hang with them, get them next year? What do you tell them?
The old style things. Have a Budweiser and say, hang with them, get them next year.
That's right.
We've
always says
advanced
that, right?
a little bit more than we used to.
I bet you have. Jonathan Herrera, the runner at first. Troy Tulowitzki, very dangerous hitter at the plate. Jake Westbrook working with a 2-0 lead here in the 4th inning. And we're joined by Bob Tewksbury, former Cardinal starting pitcher. And it's so nice to have somebody in the booth, finally, who I threw harder than. Why is that funny? Why is that so funny?
Oh, because it's not true.
Well, yeah, but you're right-handed. Right-handers
that's
true.
That's true.
You had an unbelievable ability, and we actually, Bob, talk about you quite a lot during the year as Herrera fakes a stolen base and a tough play for Feliz, and he takes care of Tulowitzki for out number 2. Herrera advances to second. But we do talk about you a lot during the season, Bob, as we watch pitchers who are very crafty and can really get the job done. And we put you right up there with the likes of Wainwright and Carpenter, the couple of years you had in the early 90s. Look at that ERA, wow. 2.96. And the team was 42-23 in those games that you pitched. And again, the record of 33-15. And according to those numbers, Bob, I guess we'd say you were good.
That's pretty cool.
But we do talk about you because of the way you pitched and were able to use a fastball. You didn't throw mid-90s, but you did when you were younger. But when you got older, you learned how to pitch, and you found out that you don't have to actually throw hard to win in this league.
No, it's all throwing the ball over the plate, giving your fielders a chance to catch it. If you walk them, they have no chance to catch it. So I think one of the biggest things that pitchers have trouble with is fear of contact. They desperately don't want the ball to be hit for some reason, or they're trying to strike everybody out is another. And the other thing is that they don't understand the delivery enough that they can make pitch-to-pitch adjustments. And there's no reason why any of those things should happen consistently. And the ability to just throw strike one and trust it. Greg Maddux, speaks for himself, but how many times did he throw a first pitch fastball and the guys didn't swing at it? And they knew it was coming, but he got strike one. So you become the aggressor, even though I didn't throw hard and wasn't a big mean guy on the mound. I became an aggressor because of pitching ahead in the count all the time.
We loved watching you pitch, and just masterful, the art of pitching and being able to get it done in low number of pitches, number of games where you were able to do it, 90 or 95 pitches, complete games. And you had a couple of games I can recall where you'd have that 9-inning shutout where you give up 10 hits and no walks and maybe strike out one, and that's kind of a classic Bob Tewksbury.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather give up a hit than a walk, and because the hits get a chance of being caught. And but like I said, Rick, we had Terry Pendleton, Ozzie, Vince Coleman, Pedro Guerrero.
Pedro Guerrero's still around. He's actually out in LA.
Stickety stuck. I know. Well, he played at first and didn't move around a lot, but
stepping a dive.
But Coleman, Gilkey, Langford, Pagnozzi was behind the plate. We had some good defense, and it makes your job a lot easier when you know they're going to catch it.
Well, I tell you, Bob Tewksbury, great to have you up here. We appreciate the visit. Good luck to you. And
you want me to go get Al?
Cardinal fans, yeah, go see if you can work on Al.
See if I can.
And there's a lot of people that would like you to ask a lot of different questions for Al, but we trust you. We trust you with his brain and with his mind.
Well,
and good luck.
I know that you know that he's in good hands when he's with me.
That's right.
He doesn't know that yet, but I know that you know.
I know it. That's all that really matters. And we care about Al, and I'm sure you can help.
It's great to be up here.
Yeah, appreciate the visit,
you.
Bob. Always great to have you here in St. Louis, and we'd love to have you back here even more. That's Bob Tewksbury. Todd Helton at the plate, 3-2, 2 outs. Westbrook trying to save that run at second, and he does. Fastball on the outside corner. Takes care of Todd Helton. He struck him out twice. Todd Helton ends the fourth. Pagnozzi when we come back. .44, the Warriors. Chet Lobbs hits 2 home runs to beat the Yankees 5-2, and the win clinches the first and only pennant for the St. Louis Browns. Chet Lobbs. He actually worked at a Dodge factory in Detroit making Jeeps for the military, and he did all that while he was playing for the Browns, and he later served in the armed forces. Lobbs was just 5'8", 175 pounds, but those home runs, very big home runs in the history of the St. Louis Browns. Matt Pagnozzi, first pitch swinging, flies deep to right field, and it's handled by Gonzalez. Bring the family down this Sunday, 2 hours prior to the Cardinals game, and you can enjoy complimentary frozen treats and win fun prizes in the Ford Plaza, courtesy of North Star. For tickets, call 314-345-9000, or you can go to Cardinals.com. Cardinal fans enjoying a 2-0 Cardinal lead here in the fourth inning. And we've been rejoined by Al Hrabosky, who is off the couch with Bob Tewksbury. And
I was so mesmerized entertaining Tewksbury on the couch that, was that a mannequin sitting there in the stands?
I'm not sure.
Does she move? Has she blinked?
She blinks. I think that's a real person.
Oh, okay. After talking to Tewks, I'm not sure.
Great to see him.
And he's supposed to be straightening me out.
Right.
But wouldn't you love to hear, some of the teammates we've had, and I'm a real authority on zaniness and craziness, and Brendan is one of my disciples, but wouldn't you love to hear some of the stories ball players tell people like Tewks?
Oh, I can't imagine. Of course, he has the confidentiality agreement that he talked about.
Yeah, but we don't.
But we don't. Well, we're just hoping that you'll share personally all the things that Tewks was working on you on there, Al.
Oh, remember, I did the talking.
Oh.
So he did the listening. And
like a good counselor does.
He did the listening, and he kind of shook his head several times.
But as you said, he's probably heard it before.
No, not what I was telling him.
3-1 to Brendan Ryan.
Dan has a nickname that he calls the two of us when we're broadcasting together.
What's that?
I don't think you need to know.
Write it down for me, maybe. And Brendan Ryan has walked for the second time here tonight. Cardinals will not be in postseason, of course, but you can catch all the action of the 2010 Major League Baseball postseason on Fox and TBS. Excitement begins October 6th with the Division Series on TBS. And in case you missed it earlier, Miguel Olivo was hit on the head by the bat of Albert Pujols in a backswing, and Jake Westbrook at the plate will be bunting. Brendan Ryan towards second. Last time in this situation, Brendan Ryan took off and stole second base, but they're making an announcement about the situation with Miguel Olivo.
Local hospital going to do a CT scan, and I'm sure he's getting the best care possible. That CT scan kind of brings us back to where we were talking about, but that's a serious situation with Olivo. And like I said, the one thing that anybody that lives here in the St. Louis area knows, that we have some of the best hospitals in all the world, and particularly the children's hospitals are phenomenal. And
well, I had that same thought as Olivo was on the ground. Just thankful that there would be very highly trained professionals in the area to help him out. That bunt is taken by De La Rosa, so Westbrook doesn't get the job done, and Ryan has to scamper back to first. And we'll take a look at the bunting form of Jake Westbrook.
Well, you see, the barrel's fine, but then he drops it. You're always talking about have that barrel a little bit higher than your hands and the handle. And when you drop it like that, then it puts the bat at an angle where you pop the ball in the air. Get the bat out in fair territory. Have your knees flexed. Go up and down with it with a slightly higher right hand, the barrel hand, than the handle hand. And bunt down on the ball. But let the ball come to you, and hold the bat in such a fashion to where when contact is made, your hands are so soft that it just deadens it. But don't stab at it, don't jab at it, don't push at it.
And there's a school of thought, and I think George Kissel would be one of the guys in Cardinal history would have been behind this, that you almost want the 45-degree angle, upward angle, because you're going to drop it some. So the bat head should almost start facing towards the sky as you're getting ready to bunt, and then when the pitch actually reaches the batter, you drop it just a little bit, but you're still square and really perpendicular, or actually parallel to the ground.
Yeah, your knees slightly bent so you can go up or down depending on the height of the pitch. And I still think it's a great drill, and coaches could do this. If you get a glove and you could put it on the barrel of the bat, slide it through the hand. Some of the gloves still have where you can have the exposed strap on it, and put a bat through there. But put a glove on the end of the bat and just tell kids to catch the ball. with inside the glove, as in your bunting form, but then try to catch the ball in the glove with it suspended on the bat.
Brendan Ryan, the runner at first. Tyler Green, 0 for 1 with a walk. And not a big fan of bunting in this situation, Al. I'd like to see him try to hit a gap.
Exactly right. You're going to make more of an impression with Tony by driving the ball than to try up there and try to drop down a bunt.
And even if you get a bunt safely, all you've done is pass the buck to Joe Mather and say you drive him in. Just don't think that's good baseball.
No.
Swing and a miss by Tyler Green.
Isn't it odd, though? Cardinals have a 2-0 lead, and it just seems so lopsided the way Westbrook is pitched. The Cardinals only have 3 hits off of De La Rosa, and we're kind of up here saying, wow, we're getting another shutout going,
Well, it's the importance of starting pitching.
They set the tone, don't they?
Another move to first. And I would say that De La Rosa, who's shown that move probably 5 or 6 times now, probably has given away his best move, which I would say would be an advantage to Cardinal base stealing.
Well, remember, it was Brendan Ryan that stole off him, led to a run. Westbrook drove him in, but he got a tremendous jump, so he's paying a little more attention. But if you talk to a great base stealer like Lou Brock, he's shown you so much that now you should even get a better read because he hadn't shown you he has a move yet.
First time I heard Lou Brock say that was in spring training. He had a bunch of pitchers, and he said, if you don't have a good move, don't you ever throw over here, because then I've got you.
Because, and I've asked Lou, and people will like this answer, but right to what you said. It said, who is the toughest for you to steal off? Don Guller. Well, why? Because he never threw to first base.
And Tyler Green goes down. He's now 0 for 2. De La Rosa starting to heat up a bit. We're through 4. Cardinals lead 2-0. Our AT&T trivia question since 1952. Can you name the 2 Cardinals starters who have the most starts in one season? That might be a hint. No?
Well, you would have thought it would have been way back when.
I guess we couldn't get a picture of Joaquin Andujar, so we have a picture of Chris Carpenter instead. Who he did have his 35th start here yesterday, a very durable season for him, and he saved the best for last, didn't he?
Normally, 34 is maxed out, so that was a major league leading 35th start for Carpenter. Larry Jackson to get 38, that wouldn't have been odd in a four-man rotation.
And Andujar the same.
But Andujar, that's a little surprising. Did you have 5 back then?
No, the Cardinals did, yes, for the most part. But the Cardinals did go to a 3-man rotation with John Tudor and I believe Danny Cox. You had Kepshire in there part of the time, and Bob Forsch would have been one of the starters.
That would have been kind of spotty right back then, right?
I think what they were doing at the time was those three, Andujar, Cox, and Tudor, would pitch whenever they could. And then the fourth and fifth guys would pitch to fill in. But Andujar was some character.
Ooh. Still is.
Still is. Last time I had a chance to see Joaquin was at the closing of Busch Stadium 2. And I will say one thing about Mr. Andujar, he was a great teammate. He was crazy and zany and offbeat and
harmless.
He was very harmless and very likable too. It looks like the Rockies trying to slow down Jake Westbrook a bit.
Melvin Mora knows about Jake from the wars in the American League.
He's hit him well. 438 coming into this game. And that average will go down a little bit more as Brendan Ryan takes care of Mora. And there's a ground ball that Jake Westbrook has been looking for. 6 is a serious number. When the Cardinals score 6, you get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for just a quarter the next day and on the run at Mobile. Win or lose, when the Cardinals score 6, you score 25-cent drinks at On the Run. Cardinals have a way to go to get those 6 runs. Ryan Spilborghs flew out to Alan Craig to end the second inning, and he takes a slider for strike 1. Spilborghs is one of those players you like having on your team. He's not really an everyday guy, but he's capable. He can be streaky. He's the kind of guy that when he's given a chance to play, he contributes some.
And kind of interesting, he's hit 352 in the second spot in the order, 333 from the 5th spot. Been a very good pinch hitter. Played 77 games in the outfield this year.
Tapper back to the mound, and athletic play by Westbrook. 2 quick outs for Cardinal right-hander here in the 5th inning, and he is just on a roll. Visit the official online shop of the Cardinals at Cardinals.com. Browse the largest online selection of authentic team gear, including official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and so much more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Cardinals.com shop.
Ethan Niccolo is at the ball game tonight with his mom and dad celebrating his 10th birthday. Big Cardinal fan, and particularly Albert Pujols.
I always get a kick out of the caravans, Al, that you and I go on during the offseason. You start to ask the whole crowd, who's your favorite Cardinal? We know who gets the most cheers when we get to number 5. What always amazes me is how the pitchers never get any love. Yadier Molina is always a top choice of Cardinal fans. And then I'll say, how about Chris Carpenter? And I'll have 2 people clap. They'll say, hey, the guy just won 16 games and second to Cy Young Award. And
Cy Young Award winner last, a couple years back. And
even kids like the offense, though, Al.
Sure.
And another ground ball. They do. So I've been told. 3 up, 3 down for Westbrook. That's the 3rd time he's done that tonight. 11:30 a.m. right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Very big game for Ubaldo Jimenez. He'll be looking for his 20th victory of the season. What a great year he's had. Cardinals will counter with Kyle Loesch in his last outing of 2010. And we'll see if he can finish up just as good as Jake Westbrook has been finishing here tonight and Chris Carpenter did here last night.
Well, you remember how important it was for not only Adam Wainwright to get 20, but just the whole ball club felt that way. It was a feather in all their caps.
Team accomplishment,
yes,
even though an
individual.
Really
is.
I agree.
And I was talking with Jim Tracy about that and how he's trying to use that as a motivation to tell his ball club that, this is really, okay, our big goal is falling short, but this is really a team accomplishment. If we can get one of our individuals to have a 20-win season, it'll be the first time ever in a Rockies franchise, but that's something that you all build momentum behind.
That series that the Cardinals have tried to forget, the 3-game sweep in Colorado where they won. Actually, they didn't win any of the games. They were leading 9-2 in game 1 and ended up losing 12-9. Fly ball to deep center field, but it's handled by Dexter Fowler, and that takes care of Joe Mather.
Not exactly where you want to be a fly ball pitcher when you're pitching in Colorado or maybe even St. Louis in the summertime. But it gets away with it. A little cooler temperatures, but no one complaining about these temperatures here the 1st of October.
Gotta love it.
Got to be a guy like Albert to drive it out, apparently.
Not too many parks can hold Albert Pujols.
How about the other day in Chicago? Wind blowing in, and he just turned one around. It was Sunday, right?
That ball, if the wind would not have been blowing in, would have been a 450-foot home run. That ball was out of the stadium into the wind. There's a line drive. Watch out. Handled by Tulowitzki, and out number 2.
Talk about a short, compact swing and just generates in such a quick time and getting to that full strength, that follow through, and the ball just rifles off that bat. Look at the great balance, head still, very little movement. No wonder he is such a dynamic hitter.
Been fun all year to watch Albert swing on the Exmo, hasn't it?
Sure has, and Holiday is not far behind. Holiday in many ways. They're both high average with tremendous power. They're line drive hitters, but tremendous power. And Holiday maybe even more so just tries to overpower the ball. And even when it's a ground ball, just up the middle. June 18th, you can make a case he's been the best hitter in the National League since June 18th.
I would not dispute that. 2-0 to Matt Holliday.
His numbers are right there, and you get votes for MVP. He'll fall behind a few other guys in this ballpark here tonight, but he'll still be in the top 5 probably.
Ground ball to left side, and that's through for a base hit. And Matt Holliday.
Ricky, we got a race again for the team batting leader, as that is the second hit, 2 for 2. He also was intentionally passed. And Albert is 0 for 3. They're both hitting .313 right now.
And Albert has led the Cardinals in batting every season he's been a Cardinal.
That's right. Fernando Vina was the last Cardinal to lead the team in hitting. That was back in 2000. And then Albert's won that. Only one time in Albert's 9 previous years did he not win the Triple Crown for the team.
A couple of close calls. Jim Edmonds hit .311 in 2002, Albert's second year, and that was his lowest batting average as a Cardinal, .314. Edmonds was just 3 points behind him, but most of the years a good 20 points or more ahead of any teammates. J.D. Drew hit .323 Albert's rookie year, where he hit .329. That has begun a long string for number 5.
About .330 plus career batting average. Hit the most home runs to begin a career. He's at .408. That's most ever for the first 10 years. He's never hit below 300 or pick him off. Getting a run down here, and Helton does the right thing, almost.
And one too many throws, but they finally get Matt Holliday as he is picked off. On to the 6th at Busch. Game can be seen on an alternate Fox Sports Midwest channel. Go to foxsportsmidwest.com for channel listings. Then at 6 o'clock, it's Georgia versus Colorado. Fox Sports Midwest is your home for Big 12 football.
Hey, Carly Buchanan with her best friend Nicole Webb, who's celebrating her 12th birthday. They both wanted to come here and watch the Cardinals win behind Jake Westbrook. So happy birthday, Nicole, and a big hello to Carly Buchanan.
And you and I throughout the course of the year, Al, and of course with Dan and all the other Cardinal broadcasters that we are so close to and travel so much with, we really get a chance to hear all season long about the number of families that come out here to celebrate birthdays. It's kind of a neat thing. It's kids, what kids want to do, where they want to go. Sometimes they come out here with their friends, and great place to have a birthday.
Well, we totally agree with that. It's a great place, but I'm not sure I quite understand, but there's a lot of weddings take place here. And Westbrook, for the 3rd time, has tied his career high with 9 strikeouts. Second time wearing the Cardinal uniform.
And he's not done yet, just working here in the 6th inning. Only 69 pitches. It's hard to strike out 9 guys with 69 pitches.
Well, you get one thing you know, you probably have not walked any, and that's the case.
And he is working so quickly. He's the first guy ready. Before Pagnazzi's ready, before the umpire's ready, before the hitter's in the box. He already knows what he wants to do. He's on the rubber, and he's ready.
Of course, there have been complete games that are in the 70s and 80s pitch thrown. But very few times would you ever have 9 strikeouts in a game like that.
A Bob Tewksbury
type game, yeah. And people forget. I mean, Tukes was not a hard thrower by any means. But Bob Tewksbury threw 70% fastballs. But he had very good command and control and could really spot the ball inside to a right-handed batter.
Hard hit ball up the middle, past Westbrook and past Brendan Ryan in the center field. And that is just the 2nd hit for the Rockies. Blues hockey's back, and the first Fox Sports Midwest telecast is a milestone for the team. October 9th, Fox Sports Midwest televises live coverage of the unveiling and dedication of Brett Hull's statue before the Blues home opener. Hull's bronze statue joins McGinnis and Perdufo. It's a historic moment for Brett Hull, and you'll see it and hear it all. Blues hockey returns October 9th on Fox Sports Midwest.
We have the bobblehead, and you got the panger, but that's also our very own in the truck, Keith.
Looks like him, doesn't it?
No, it is him.
It is?
I mean, it's him. And I
did not realize he was that athletic to do that.
We knew he had fancy fingers on the Chiron machine, but can he do some dancing?
Multi-talented, that Keith O'Brien. Like everybody else in our truck. A lot of hidden talents in there.
Hidden is the optimum word there. How deep? Where's Tukes when we need him? They got
and I tell you what, he could spend a lot of time out in that truck, couldn't he?
He'd be a wealthy man. Charging. And of course, they use that truck often like a couch.
They do. They absolutely do.
They work so hard in there, they're sleeping in that couch most of the time.
1-0 on Jonathan Herrera. We've been talking about Tewksbury being at the ballpark. John Costello was here earlier, and so is Tim Jones.
Reetsy.
Kenny Reitz. Saw Pat Perry here yesterday.
Alan Dennis had his entire family out on the field. Of course, Alan is one of John Mozeliak's lieutenants. But nice to see Mary Beth and the kids.
Mike Matheny was here.
Matheny through batting practice.
There goes the runner Fowler, and it's line foul on a hit and run by Herrera.
Cal Eldred got jealous seeing Matheny throw batting practice, and he left. And by the way, we haven't talked about it, but we did have the historic meeting. Babe Ruth against
Jim Hayes. You talking about that?
Jim Hayes. Yeah.
I had missed it, Al. I was busy doing my homework.
Excuse me. You were doing the right thing. It was a non-contest. Aaron Miles against the Cat.
Long drive to right field. Back to the track, and it stays in play for Alan Craig, and tagging up is Fowler, and he'll go safely into second base. Good heads-up base running by Dexter Fowler.
He's got that great speed, so he can take a base. And Alan Craig went back. Just a reminder, this game seems so lopsided, but we almost had a tie game.
Absolutely. Herrera not a home run hitter, only one on the season. Hitter with a little more pop, and it may be a 2-2 game.
And it doesn't cost you anything. You see him tag up here and advance, but why not check and see if he left too soon, which obviously he didn't.
Sometimes it's a bit of an optical illusion. A runner will stand behind the base to get himself moving, and he'll actually be moving before the outfielder catches the ball, and so it'll look like perhaps he left too soon, but his foot's still on the base. He's just getting his body moving in the direction of the next base. Broken back ground ball to Pujols. There's gold there, and I don't know if that's gold, but it's good enough. 3-1 on the putout. 2 hits through 6 for the Rockies. Midwest is brought to you by Lumiere Casino. Every time the Cards win, the next day get a free buffet with a purchase of one at the kitchen at Lumiere Place. Visit My Choice for details. Alan Craig leads it off for the Redbirds here in the bottom of the 6th inning. They lead 2-0. 2 early runs against Jorge De La Rosa, who's been stingy with the runs over the last couple of months, but the Cardinals have not been able to put anything else together. It'll be Craig, Feliz, and Pagnazzi here in the 6th. De La Rosa, not a guy that kind of wows you either, Al. He does have a very good breaking ball, but he just seems to be very difficult to hit, almost as if the hitters don't pick up the ball very well with his delivery.
You know, he does have pretty good stuff. And, you know, he had that problem with the finger, which really affected his breaking ball. Very much like the injury that Wainwright sustained a couple years ago when the tendon in the sheath on his middle finger, it's almost like a sprain, and couldn't really bend it to the point where he could throw the breaking ball.
That pitch just exploded to the outside corner with good movement.
Yeah,
just 91, but it was a sharp 91.
Sure, and of course, you know, he's also in a position too where, like most pitchers, you need run support. Show the graphic how he's 3-0 in his last 3 starts against the Cardinals, but over 11 run support. You better be 3-0.
That's right. And we mentioned earlier that Ubaldo Jimenez will be looking for his 20th victory here tomorrow. That's a game you'll want to see right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Hard hit in the left center, and this is going to find the gap, get down, and go to the wall. Leadoff double for Alan Craig here in the Cardinals' 6th. And if you're wondering whether Alan Craig can pull the ball or not, he's certainly done that here tonight.
Well, it was a 91-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone. Makes it even more difficult to get up there, out away from him, but he does get to this pitch away, and then he can drive the ball. He had 81 RBIs in 83 games at Memphis, and with 5 stints in the big leagues, you know, you got to get your timing back after you get rusty standing up here. So most extensive playing time in his career at the major league level, and he's making the most of it.
Pedro Feliz average is dipped to 219. Started out the year with the Astros and did not get a lot of playing time. Chris Johnson, the rookie there, has been very good.
Yeah, took it away from him and starts this ball game here tonight because he has numbers against De La Rosa.
We talk about lost arts, Al. I mean, his job here, hit the ball to the right side.
Right side. I mean,
and how often do we see teams not even think about doing that throughout the course of the year?
A lot of times a guy ultimately will hit the ball to the right side, but it was not his intent. He was trying to drive the ball, was fooled by the pitch out in front, and it just dribbled to the right side. But here he went after it.
And it was clearly his intent to hit the ball the other way. By the way he approached that ball, good job by Pedro Feliz. It's an out, but it's a very productive out. Cardinal fans, this season it's easier than ever to find the seats that you want or to sell tickets to the games that you can't make on StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the St. Louis Cardinals. You'll find great seats and great service on StubHub all season long. So go to StubHub.com and choose your seats today.
I'm sure Chris Iannetta went out there and said, okay, you got a runner at third base, 1 out. You know, Pagnazzi swinging the bat well, but you know, there's a squeeze play in play. You know, you don't have to groove a ball here. You can pitch around him. You can do a lot of little things. But let's just try and really bear down and go over a game plan. If you fall behind, then we'll go after the next guy with a double play in order.
I'm voting for the squeeze. I think that'd be fun. When's the last time we had a squeeze?
We haven't. You know, I remember a couple years ago that was a big weapon from Tony La Russa. And this is a situation here that made you think that this could be a distinct possibility.
See, we saw ear, nose, chest, nose. I don't know whether that's the squeeze or not.
Or maybe he's got an itch.
It could be.
But you give a signal to the hitter sometimes they respond and reply or not.
Ball in the dirt. Craig is being very aggressive. Okay, chest, nose here, but I'm lost. Too fast.
Ooh.
Oh, that.
Ooh.
He looked a little serious there.
Yeah, that was a little more. Then you verbally tell the runner at third base. Sometimes a guy has to respond, the hitter, to show everyone he knows it. He's not going to swing away with a runner racing down. But sometimes that also gives the opposition another way to detect it. Here it is.
Here it is, and it is successful. The Cardinals squeezing her on. Matt Pagnozzi gets the job done. Good break by Alan Craig, and the Cardinal fans love that.
Well, it's the 8th RBI for Pagnozzi this week. And just when you do it properly, it's almost impossible to defend it. You don't leave too soon. And as we look at the pitch in the dirt, and that was the pitch before the squeeze.
But he's getting a good jump off a third, but you can't go too soon.
Yeah, you can't get too soon because then they can pitch out. They know it's coming. But see, when you get there, you come in here, you just get that bunt down. If you get the bunt down, it's almost impossible for the defense to get that runner at home plate.
Perfectly executed squeeze. And Al has got Tony La Russa's squeeze sign.
For the night.
He might change it tomorrow. That's right.
And I might even have the answer too.
We didn't really know the sign, but he sure seemed kind of emphatic about giving it, didn't he?
Well, and then I saw Matt Pagnozzi do something which whether they do,
I saw it too.
Whether they do respond and show that they know it or not. And I'll never forget in Houston at the Dome, Kenny Reitz was batting late in the ball game, 9th inning, and the squeeze was on, and Kenny Reitz did not get it. Tommy Agee went running. There's a name for your boyhood past, but Tommy Agee was on third base, racing home, and Reitz did not get this squeeze, and he swung. And they ran 32 clips of his swing and Tommy Agee's head.
Oh my!
And it just, you couldn't tell whether it hit him in the head or not. It was that close, swinging right over it. Agee said, "I saw my life pass right in front of me." Reitz fouled the pitch off. He eventually drove in the run, but it was a scary moment.
And that's why if you do not get the answer from the hitter, normally the third base coach, somebody will call timeout.
Right.
Because you do not want that to happen. Brendan Ryan grounds one past Oquendo.
And of course, with Kenny Reitz, he might have answered and forgot that he answered.
That could happen.
Well, we've seen pitchers do that.
Multiple ways to answer. You could, as a hitter, you could rub your hand across your chest. You could go to the back of your helmet. You could tug on your belt. You could
reach the barrel,
of the bat. Exactly.
There's all kinds of little things. And then if those are so obvious, you're something else, But some clubs do not ask for an answer. And you can get a serious injury that way, but...
well, they're afraid that the hitter might tip it off, be very obvious.
Sure, and that is.
Now, Brendan Ryan touches so many things. How would you know?
Right, that's it. You couldn't do it with him. You tell Brendan, hey, it's your left shoulder. Lick your left shoulder and, tell us you got it.
2-2 to Brendan Ryan.
Because you watch Brendan Ryan, he'll lick his left shoulder every bat. Look at this. He'll do it 6 more times before a pitch is made. And that was something he learned a long time ago. It's just his little mechanism mentally to tell him to hold his front shoulder in. But it becomes such a nervous habit, it drives you crazy. You could do a dirty trick to him, put some cayenne powder or something, on his shoulder.
I'm sure some Cardinal players and teammates have thought of that, don't you think?
Atomic bomb.
Oh, boy.
That's more where they put in the jock straps. The red hot, the atomic bomb. Well, I don't know. We don't want to give them any ideas. So in vogue, the pie in the face.
Cardinals lead 3-0. Brendan Ryan bounces it to the third baseman Mora. Across the diamond, takes care of Brennan. He's retired for the first time tonight, but the Cardinals pick up another one through 6 innings. They lead 3-0. Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live is broadcast from the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place Casino. Watch player interviews, and we'll hear from Tony La Russa. Plus, Pat Paris and I will break down the game. The critically acclaimed Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live after the game on Fox Sports Midwest. Jake Westbrook enjoying a 3-0 lead here as he is set to work in the top of the 7th inning. Tulowitzki, Helton, and Mora. And we had an exciting bottom half of the 6th inning with a successful squeeze play.
Tulowitzki, since coming off the disabled list, 61 RBIs in 57 games.
Nice backhand by Pujols, and on to Westbrook, and that's been a good combination. 3-1. Out number 1 here in the 7th.
They're all on their toes when he's out there on the mound. 79 pitches thrown. Good ratio. 3-1 strike to walks. Helton's had a tough night. He's over 2, and what a terrific player he's been over the years. An all-around player.
Big numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he leads the Rockies all-time leader in nearly every offensive category. Hits, runs, doubles, home runs, RBIs, base on ball, games played. And he's been a good all-around player. Very good defensive player. Very good quarterback.
It's almost hard to see him at 259 with 8 home runs and 37 RBIs, isn't it?
It is, and I mean, it was a couple of years ago. He was 4th in the batting average in the league, and you know, he's probably not a 5th place hitter anymore. But
there's a quick pitch by pitch to help.
See that late movement on the sinker, back out there again, trying to paint the outside, and he got a little bit in on the plate, but Helton gets a little fly ball, a little harmless fly ball, a little bit tardy with it.
That little slower,
that
maybe?
A lot slower. You know, but of course he had one of the quickest bats and been a terrific player. Whitey Herzog said, you know, one of the toughest things is, managing a future Hall of Famer towards the end of their career.
Oh boy!
And I'm sure Todd has got a lot of pride, and you know, he's batting 5th right now, and you know, maybe somebody needs to talk to him a little bit and say, you know, Todd, maybe 7th is the best part for you next year.
Could very well be. Line drive, but handled by Matt Holliday. Pretty good range in left field by Holliday. Getting better out there. Another easy inning for Jake Westbrook. Text poll, who would you like to return to the Cardinals next season? Miles, Penny, Suppan, or Westbrook? And maybe it's because Jake Westbrook is pitching so well here tonight. He wins. Al, any surprises there?
No. I mean, you know, Westbrook, in my mind, if the price is right, obviously would be number one. You know, Aaron Miles has just been outstanding. You know, wearing the Cardinal uniform, can't play for any other manager because with Tony La Russa, he takes good care of his bench guys. He gets enough time, and he's got the confidence that
he does
manager believes in him.
He absolutely hits when he's a Cardinal. Now, Aaron Miles is a hitter. He always has been.
You know, Tony, you know, was that 25th guy when he made a roster. So he's sympathetic that if I'm going to get anything out of those guys, and if you're going to win, you need a contribution from everyone. But so, you know, he tries to give those guys some at-bats so when they are called upon, they have a fighting chance. And Aaron has really responded. And, of course, also he is our safety valve when you're talking about a specialty pitcher.
14th pitcher. Throws strikes. Gets Jim Hayes out.
And tomorrow, tomorrow we're going to, we don't want to tell the story, but Jim Hayes made a fool of himself.
I think you just told the story, Al.
Oh, no, wait till tomorrow.
That's not the specific.
Wait till tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait.
You know, wait till tomorrow. You know, Ricky, you and I know we have limitations.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, we understand that we can't do everything, and there's many people have tremendous skills that we wouldn't even attempt to try and fill their shoes. But when you're dumb, when you're Jim Hayes, you kind of think that you can do something that very few can do.
Now, I'd really like to defend Jim Hayes right now,
but
I'm not gonna.
Oh, okay. I thought it was impossible to do it, but I liked your answer was fine.
Ground ball to short, Jake Westbrook. And he is thrown out. Westbrook did have a base hit in the second inning, base hit and an RBI, and certainly has helped his own cause tonight, but what he's done with his right arm has been spectacular.
And in case people don't understand what we're talking about, Jim Hayes said that he could hit Aaron Miles, a major league pitcher. And so there was a duel today. And let's put it this way. It was so effortless that if Miles is called upon tonight, he will be able to pitch.
Still has some bullets left.
Oh, he sure does.
Interesting to see Tony La Russa going up and down the dugout as we've seen throughout this half inning. Speaking with the hitting coach, Mark McGuire, then he went to Dave Duncan. The wheels are certainly turning for Tony, and you talked about this being a 3-0 game, feeling like it's a bigger lead. Well, it certainly doesn't feel that way to Tony. He wanted to probably get some input from McGuire as who might be a pinch hit possibility. Line drive to third. Nice play by Mora.
I said Melvin Moore is, getting up there in age a little bit, but he still can be a very productive player. And pitch right in the middle, coming in a little bit. Tyler turns on it. You see the third baseman right there. Plays it to the side, backhands it, but he's got sure hands. And, for the year, Melvin has hit over 300 with runners in scoring position. 296 against lefties, 284 against right-handers, and 23 starts since Stewart went on the disabled list. He hit 337, 3 home runs during that time, 3 triples, 16 RBIs. They still could be a productive backup player. And when I was, it's one thing, the Cardinals are hopeful that David Freese recovers. And being a young player, inexpensive player, he solves a lot of problems. But if you try to go out and get a number one or a top-notch third baseman, you're going to use a lot of your resources. But maybe a guy like Melvin Mora, gives you, that backup veteran guy off the bench, and gives you a little job security there, without having to spend all your money at one position. Because let's face it, this team does have several needs if you're going to be a contending team.
And frankly, that takes some pressure off David Freese. Maybe he doesn't have to play every day. If he's the only guy over there, you don't have a solid backup for him, then you risk him getting injured again. You risk a lot of things. And, of course, he believes he's ready, Al, but you still have to go out there and show it.
Sure. And playing devil's advocate, it's really both ankles have been operated on, multiple on one, reconstruction on the other. It's been out really the last 2 years because of that. You have to cover yourself in case he doesn't make that recovery.
Real shame to me that Alan Craig was not able to develop as a third baseman. He was a third baseman in Double-A early in his minor league career and also some in A-ball, and they moved him to first base and then to the outfield. But that would have been a certain opportunity for him this year had he learned to play third base.
Well, the thing with Alan Craig was, remember early, one of the reasons they moved him is he has a very unorthodox throwing motion, and it looks a little awkward from an infielder. So would he have a quick enough release, strong enough arm to throw at this level? But let's face it, prior to this little run, he hasn't shown he can hit at this level. Every place in the minor league he's been a hitter.
Mather pops this one into the outfield, and Dexter Fowler's been busy, and Jorge De La Rosa's been good. by Mass Mutual. Matt Holliday with a couple of hits. Two key plays in this game. Albert Pujols early on. A backswing hits the back of the head of Miguel Olivo. He goes down, and he has been taken to an area hospital. And a suicide squeeze that worked to perfection in the 6th inning. That's Matt Pagnozzi.
And the applause you hear is the Cardinals are acknowledging Ernie Hayes, who's been here for not only this stadium, but for many, many, many decades at the old Busch Stadium. And he is announcing his retirement. So, well-deserved. Very likable gentleman. And
always friendly to us.
To the delight of the fans. They've really enjoyed his entertainment.
Well, I can guarantee you that warmed his heart to get that reception right there by the Cardinal fans here in attendance. And
there's a young man, his name escapes me, that has been doing some of it this year and will play the organ in the future, so that tradition will not go away.
Long fly ball to right field. Craig back up against the wall, makes the play. Long fly ball the other way off the bat of Ryan Spilborghs, and Rockies very nearly picked up a run here.
And he just kept on drifting back and everything, and then ran out of room. I didn't really think it was going to carry that far. He would have gotten to the wall, put his back to it, and then moved forward or jumped, whatever he'd have to do. But that ball just kept on drifting on him. How about the effort from Westbrook? Followed up by Chris Carpenter, his first complete game of the year last night. And is Westbrook trying to get to double figures for the 4th time in his career?
And trying to get to double figures for the first time in his career in strikeouts. He has 9, a career high. And you wonder what this equates to in terms of contract for Jake Westbrook. I mean, does one game really mean that much, Al, as he closes out the season pitching as well? Is he making himself some money tonight?
I think he's already made his money. People in the American League have seen what he can do, especially now that he's healthy. He's now been on display for the National League. And I know the Cardinals would love to re-sign him. Dave Duncan had, he was been on his radar screen for many years and likes the fact that he's a ground ball pitcher. But
ninth inning comeback, July 6th, the Rockies were down 9-2. An Iannetta big hit. Giambi contributed 9 runs in the last inning. Seth Smith, the game winner off of Ryan Franklin, to break the Cardinals' heart. Unbelievable comeback in Colorado. They came back in game 2 as well. And Jimenez won game 3. And in that series, and we started to talk about that earlier, Ubaldo Jimenez won game 3 of that series, Al, and at the time he went to 15-1.
Yeah. Well, he was Cy Young wrapped up in the first couple months, but it's been slow in coming, and he'll have a chance for 20 tomorrow. But see, all 17 of those home runs have come against right-handed pitching. He is 6 for 36 as a pinch hitter with 2 home runs. But in his career, he's .325 as a pinch hitter with 10 doubles, 5 triples, 5 home runs, and 32 RBIs. In the last 2 seasons, he's hit .319 with 23 pinch hits. That's 3rd best in the National League.
Aaron Miles has taken over at second base for Tyler Green. Late inning defensive replacement. You mentioned Westbrook getting ground balls. The last 4 outs have been in the outfield. 2 fly balls to left, 2 to right.
But back to Westbrook, I felt all along he has pitched so well that someone is going to offer him significantly more money than what the Cardinals are slotting him for. I'd be the first one to say, if there's any way to keep him, do it. But when you're trying to lock up Albert long term, which you've got allocated for Wainwright and Carpenter, which is richly deserved. Loesch is making
close play at first base. This one goes the Rockies' way. Seth Smith hustling all the way down. Westbrook a little mad at himself for being a bit late covering.
And Ricky, you and I know you don't really, he's not really aware of the running speed, but if you're not go directly to the bag, you can't really, run up the line, and it took him a long time to step on the bag. The throw was there, and it took him 2 little stutter steps before he reached for the bag, and that was the difference, allowing Spielberg to be safe.
The other thing that pitchers never think of at the last minute, but you wonder if you could train yourself to realize that you could also tag the runner. I mean, in some cases, you've got the ball up high, the runner's right next to you, you're running to the base, and you're thinking about your foot hitting the base. All you got to do is tag him.
Come on now, you are talking about a pitcher.
Yeah, you got to think.
That's thinking
so
more than one thought.
You got to think, run, and catch all at the same time. All right, a little too much.
Bubble gum, walking, chewing. Maybe that was a case where Albert ranging too far to his right and not allowing the second baseman that an easy play coming in, and if Albert's at the bag, that play develops a lot quicker. But that's part of Albert. I mean, he's just going to go after everything he thinks he can get to.
And if you're going to be a pitcher for the Cardinals, you know you better be going to first on any ball hit to your left, period.
Like right now, go to first. Now back up third.
Now you got to back up third is right on a base hit to right field, and he's looking for 2. How about that speed of Dexter Fowler, and a couple runners in scoring position now for the Rockies. Boy, you could love to see speed, don't you, Al?
Well, you'd love to see it when it's against somebody else. But he can turn on a ball. He's a very exciting player with great speed. Leads the major leagues with 14 triples. That set a new franchise record for a single season. And he's just getting his feet wet.
Looks like he has a couple of different gears there, too. When he was getting closer to second base, he started to kind of go to that faster gear, and very exciting player. That's his second hit of the night against Westbrook, and Trevor Miller begins loosening for the Cardinals. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Here is the pitch count by inning for Jake Westbrook.
Very efficient. Carpenter ended last night's game with 100 pitches in a complete game. A little surprised. They got Miller warming up, but I'd already notify a right-hander just in case.
Pitch gets away from Pagnazzi. That could have been
hit the umpire. Hit the umpire just enough to where it deadened the ball, and
looks like he was crossed up, Al.
Yeah, that's what. And anybody out there at second base, but he's looking for, he's looking for his fastball. Got a little slider and hit the umpire in the heel, and didn't get all the way back to the wall. So second and third. There are 2 outs. You got Herrera, the switch hitter, at the plate. Then Gonzalez, the lefty. That's what Miller's warming up for. Tulowitzki. Of course, if we get that far, we're in trouble. Fowler's speed, any base hit to the outfield, you would assume would be 2 runs. Fowler speed out at second.
And 2-0 to Herrera. Clearly, with the guys that follow, Al, this is a guy you want to get out.
Definitely. Gonzalez, a candidate for the MVP on deck. And Westbrook falling 3-0. Probably the first three-ball count we've seen all night. He's been that much in control and ahead of the hitters.
Clearly, you do not want a free pass to Jonathan Herrera in front of Carlos Gonzalez, who's sitting on 117 RBIs in 2010.
He's one behind Albert Pujols. But one swing could change that.
And that's ball 4, and I cannot believe that Westbrook will face Gonzalez, but we shall see. Trevor Miller is loose.
Well, he's out of there because this is the second visit. So Dave Duncan is signaled, but just stepping out across the white line would significant. But you need a Chevy call to the bullpen, and Trevor Miller come in and inherit a bases loaded 2-out situation.
Tough challenge. Carlos Gonzalez, one of the best in the game. He has more hits than anybody in baseball this year against left-handed pitching.
He has 321 against left-handed pitching, 348 against righties, 355 with runners in scoring position. He leads the National League with a 393 average in September. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Does have a little sore wrist, but he has been outstanding against left-handed pitching this year. 71 hits against left-handed pitching, the most in the major leagues. And he's one of 3 players in the majors to lead his team in home runs and stolen bases.
Tough assignment here for Trevor Miller. First pitch in the dirt to Carlos Gonzalez. Al mentioned he's 0 for 3. Batting here with the bases loaded. Seth Smith, the runner at third, a 2-out infield hit. Then Fowler, who doubled him to third, and a walk to Herrera, the first of the game for Jake Westbrook, has loaded the bases here in the 8th inning. The Cardinals trying to protect a 3-0 lead, and the 1-0 pitch jams Gonzalez.
There, look at his wrist right there. He's nursing a bad wrist, and you could tell on that swing. Watch his reaction. Watch you try to swing, and he can't hold on to the bat. And see that right hand. If it wasn't for what he's trying to accomplish, he wouldn't be in this game.
3 more hits to reach 200.
200, but
trying to get those RBIs.
He's going to win the batting title, but you know he's got a chance for the RBI title too.
I think you could jam him. There's a broken bat. Watch out, Trevor Miller.
He's shaking and breaks the bat, and he's feeling the sting in his hand as he's shaking it out, and you know that right hand is hurting.
Watch the reaction for Gonzalez.
Those are little things as
almost
a pitcher
painful
you like to know.
Hit.
Now, I mean, knowing that, you know, it's almost like it. You know, you don't have to necessarily have a left-hander on the mound who's got a sweeping breaking ball. You could throw that. You could throw that hard-throwing right-hander right in on the hands and neutralize that. But Obviously, Trevor Miller's had a very fine season. He's earned this right, and this is a big out if he can get it.
You'd almost think the swing and a miss would hurt him more than anything else.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of times we got a hand injury. If you make some contact, it's not as bad as swinging and missing.
There's that sweeping breaking ball away from Gonzalez. Just trying to figure out any way to keep this rally going here for the Rockies in the 8th inning. 4 of the top 5 hitters in the National League in this game tonight. Gonzalez is 0 for 3, Tulowitzki 0 for 3, Pujols 0 for 3, and Matt Holliday is 2 for 2 with a walk. Coming back in, and there's a ground ball. More pain for Gonzalez. And more reasons for cheers here in St. Louis. Good job, Trevor Miller. Crisp, clean finish, it's what we do. By AT&T Mobility. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. The wrist of Carlos Gonzalez, the Rockies' right fielder, is, well, it's just not very good right now, and a very big out registered by Trevor Miller to end the top of the 8th inning with Gonzalez at the plate and the bases loaded, and that brings in Rafael Betancourt. He'll take over for Jorge De La Rosa, who pitched very well here tonight. He went 7 innings and gave up 3 Cardinal runs on just 5 hits.
Well, Betancourt has really been an outstanding pitcher, particularly the second part of the season. Right-handed batters since May 27th are hitting 137 with 45 strikeouts. Since June, he's 5-0, 18 holds, a 2.5 ERA. He has just 5 walks. One of those was intentional, and 67 strikeouts.
And he has a tough chore. We thought Trevor Miller had a tough chore. He has Pujols, Holliday, and Craig.
How about this? His strikeout to walk ratio is 11 to 1.
Pretty good.
88 strikeouts, 8 walks, 13.1 strikeouts per 9 innings, second best among major league relievers.
And to give that some perspective, we would say 3 to 1 is a pretty good ratio.
3 to 1 is a very good ratio, and he is 11 to 1.
Pujols 0 for 3, sitting on 42 home runs and 118 RBIs, leading the National League, 1 ahead of Carlos Gonzalez, who missed an opportunity in the top of this inning to go ahead of Albert.
You get the impression, though, if he didn't have anything to go for Gonzalez, that he wouldn't even be in the lineup.
Absolutely. Nice crowd here tonight, 36,293. Great fan support all season long for Cardinal baseball. 1-1 to Albert. Betancourt is ready, and the pitch. Good hitting count here for Albert.
See Tony and Dave Duncan going over it. Ryan Franklin warming up in the bullpen. Albert and Holiday locked in a very good hitters race for the team leadership.
And a swing and a miss by Albert. Albert at 313.
And Holiday at 313.
And Holiday at 313. It's a nice, friendly little competition.
Sure, you know, push each other. There was a period of time where Holiday had passed Albert, and Albert passed him up, but then Holiday has come back, and they're tied right now. Somebody's leading by thousands of points.
Right. The 2-2 to Albert. Popped up. Tulowitzki back. Last night, our Hardee's prime cut was a bunt. And ditto.
Best, the suicide squeeze to perfection. Tyler.
Matt Pagnazzi.
Alan Craig scored that one. And once again, you know, people just don't realize how tough it is to defend a successful
if you do it right,
squeeze.
you can't defend
it. Really is.
Worst thing that could happen is a pitcher just throws a bad pitch that you can't handle.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to really get an outstanding bunt down. Just get it down.
Get it fair. Pagnazzi did do a great job. You can tell he had been well schooled on the art of bunting.
Well, and let's be honest, you know, he has to do little things like that. You know, advanced runners with a sacrifice or a squeeze, he should be able to do those things.
And as much as a fan of Matt Pagnazzi as I have been over the years personally, I just think he's just a quality human being, one of my favorite guys in the organization. Part of the reason he stayed around, I had never really envisioned him as potentially that backup guy at the big league level. But what I've seen from him over the last couple of weeks is making me rethink that.
2 years ago, you know, is when I started paying attention, because I started watching that. At that time, Brian Anderson was considered by the organization the top prospect. He still catches most of the games at AAA. But if you're talking about a backup with the ability to catch and throw, and how the Cardinals, Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan, tougher on catchers than any manager's ever been around and coached, they give so much responsibility to that catcher that they started saying, if we needed a catcher here at the major league level, it wasn't going to be Anderson, it was going to be Pagnazzi, because of his ability to handle the pitching staff.
Cardinals also have Stephen Hill up.
Stephen Hill right now, but you know, and then Mike Matheny made a very good point. He said, look, Brian Anderson was a high school kid. He's always been noted as a hitter. Nobody's really ever gone to the nuances about how to handle a pitching staff. And Mike is very high on Brian Anderson and thinks that he has the makings. He's just a little bit behind Pags.
Long drive to right field, and back goes Gonzalez. He makes the play in the warning track, and that takes care of Matt Holliday.
You know, Gonzalez this year also a reverse too. He played all three outfield positions. Westbrook can only look on and determine his fate.
He's pretty relaxed, doesn't he?
Well, you know, he did his job. Pitched great. 7 2/3 innings, only 3 hits allowed, no runs, walked one. His last batter he faced, and tied a career high in strikeouts.
How about speaking of this feeling, Al, that Westbrook's going through? Not only was it a good job well done today, but he knows that he does not have to throw another baseball for 3 months.
Well,
and what's going through his head right now in terms of how relaxed he might be?
Well, and he knows that he's probably going through or about to go through one of the most exciting and nerve-wracking times of his career. The first time he's eligible for free agency. He'll have many a suitor with his ability to eat up innings, throw strikes, get ground balls, and then he's worrying about the Georgia Bulldogs.
Always something to worry about, right?
Yep.
Ground ball base hit for Alan Craig. That's his second hit of the night. Well, these players have a long grind. They start their workouts in late November, some of them, and early December, others. They begin throwing in January. Spring training, early comers are there in February. And the season goes through early October. John Jay will pinch run for Craig. And so there really is this letdown where you think, well, you know what? If you're Jake Westbrook, I don't have to lift weights tomorrow. I don't have to run tomorrow. I don't have to stretch. Probably eat what I want. Don't have to worry about my arm. Sleeping funny on my arm.
I'll know I'll have my 10th victory, the 4th time in my career. I've gone into double figures, first time since '06. Now, I fully know that I'm recovered from Tommy John surgery. I made 33 starts this year. And all kinds of good things going through his head if the Cardinals hold on.
Pedro Feliz pops up the first pitch. Todd Helton, very sure hands over there. I was pretty sure he'd catch that. Ryan Franklin.
Game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and Rick Horton will be at Lumiere Place. Jake Westbrook's future, they'll discuss it. Pat and Rick make their playoff picks, and we hand out the Hungo of the Year. Ryan Franklin on to try to finish up tonight as we go back to the booth and Rick and Al, guys.
Thanks, Jim. The game is in balance. The Hungo is in balance, and Ryan Franklin comes on for the 9th inning. 6-2 record on the season, 64 innings, and he does have 26 saves on the season. And he is looking for number 27.
Very good ratio, only 2 blown saves, 26 of 28. Just unfortunately didn't have about twice that many opportunities.
That's a great percentage. That's really as good as it gets.
And Ricky, this could be the 8th time this season in game 161 that the Cardinals win a game scoring less than 4 runs. That is unbelievable with our pitching staff.
And a quick out tough hitter Troy Tulowitzki is 0 for 4. Nice start for Franklin.
This is a situation, and I don't mean to take anything away from Frankie, because you still, you've got to get major league hitters out, and you inherit a 3-0 lead. But obviously, Trevor Miller had the much tougher assignment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he gets one of those H things.
He gets a hold, but his teammates and everybody knows what a job he did getting the final out, bases loaded, 2 outs, and a little comebacker against a guy that's going to finish in the top 3 in the MVP battle.
One of my favorite things about the game is you don't know when the moment's going to strike during a typical game, but you look back at a game and there's 2 or 3 pitches out where really the whole game was decided on those pitches.
Sure.
That was one of them. Trevor Miller getting out Gonzalez.
And the rules have changed a little bit. I mean, when you get the final out, in this situation. But we've seen guys get saves coming into a 3-0 or a 3-run game, give up 2 home runs or give up 2 runs and still get a save. And I had a teammate of mine in Kansas City, Steve Mangori, that, a specialty left-hander. He pitched the final 3 innings of one game. Final 3 innings. And he gave up a solo home run, and the official score, the rules were different then.
Right.
The official score did not give him a save because he said he did not pitch effectively.
Well, it's not always fair. Ryan Franklin trying to close out the Rockies here in the 9th inning. But the Cardinals up 2-0 in this final series. Cardinals won here last night behind Chris Carpenter, 6-1, and Jake Westbrook has been the story here tonight. Ryan Franklin in that very familiar role, and we wonder what the future will be for Ryan Franklin in 2011. The 2-2 pitch to Helton is a swing and a miss on a high fastball. Out number 2, 1 out array. And it's time for our player of the game, and we will give it to the sinker baller, Jake Westbrook, our Budweiser player of the game.
He sure earned it. Boy, he pitched extremely well, and all his starts with the Cardinals, maybe 2 times you could say he struggled a little bit, but
against the Pirates both times.
Yeah, both times. Both his losses against the Pirates of all teams.
Melvin Moore hits one to left. Looks like a Cardinal victory, and it is. Cardinals take the first 2 games of the series against the Rockies behind Jake Westbrook. Picks up his 4th Cardinal victory. Ryan Franklin closes it out for save number 27. Postgame show is next.